Aloha and welcome to Restaurants Hawaii on ThinkTech Hawaii. I am your host, Sheryl Matsuoka, the Executive Director of the Hawaii Restaurant Association. Twice a month, we discuss important and timely topics centered around Hawaii's food service industry. Hurricane season is in full force right now, and it doesn't end till November 30th. As of June 8th, 2022, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, predicts 2 to 5 tropical storms in the Central Pacific hurricane season this year. So people get ready because we are going to be seeing some tropical storms. Emergencies and disasters could halt your business. And every day a restaurant or a business is closed, we're losing large sums of money. Loss of sales because you were closed due to and plus the repair costs all add up. So today we're discussing why being partnered ahead of time and being prepared for all emergencies and having a plan is so critical. Knowing who to call can certainly get you back up and quickly and safely back into operation. So today I have two ladies with me from First Onsite. First, I would like to have Sheryl, can you please introduce yourself? Tell them a little bit about yourself and how you assist your clients through disasters.
Well, thank you very much, Cheryl, for having us on board. So my name is Sheryl Ferido with First Onsite, and I am a regional account manager. So my clients specifically are restaurants, retailers, which is a perfect group for the association. Our services help with emergencies, and we're going to talk today about why it's important to have that plan and partnership in place prior. A lot of restaurants, I myself was in the restaurant industry for about 10 to 12 years. So being a restaurant manager and knowing the daily ins and outs and what pops up every day certainly is something that I know something about. So.
Thank you, Sheryl. And Rachel, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about how you help your customers get through disasters.
I am Rachel Lee. I am a regional account manager. Just like Sheryl, I take care of my clients in the parts of the unexpected happening, whether it's disasters or random events that happen. I am kind of the front facing to our clients and kind of the liaison between the rest of our team to them as well.
Thank you, Rachel. Welcome, ladies. So today we're talking about why during this season, more so, there's an emphasis on having a plan. In every business, there is an operation manual. In that manual, should a natural disaster or any disaster happen, whether it's flooding, whether it's a fire, whatever it is, even COVID, a employee tests positive and that employee was at work all day yesterday. How do you handle all these different scenarios? So why do we need to put into our business operation manual who to call in case there is a flood, a fire, or a positive COVID case from one of your employees? You should really think about that ahead of time versus it's happening and now you're opening up the yellow pages well, people don't do that anymore. They Google. I'm just old. Google it and say, who can I call? So Sheryl, share with us, some of the things that you do pre-disaster as
Sure.
Thank you.
Well, first, we're going to talk about hurricane preparedness for either restaurant or retail. It's extremely important to have a standard operating procedure for emergencies, and it could be anything from heavy winds that push against your windows and windows shatter, or heavy rains where the rains can come in and flood underneath the doorways, or a pipe bursts, a fire happens on your stove, the toilet overflows. So being in the restaurant, it happens. It's going to happen. It's not if it happens, it's when it's going to happen. So knowing, and your staff knowing who to call as well. So all of your managers, shift managers, all the way down to your servers and your cooks, one should make the manager on duty aware of it, of course, but having that, that magnet there saying, oh, this is who I call when there's an emergency. That's really important. It saves time and it saves you money in the long run, because the sooner you can address your flood, the sooner you can reduce the water damage, not only on your flooring, but also on your drywall, your walls. If it's coming from the ceiling, if, for example, if it's a, broken sprinkler head, or you have a broken HVAC pipe that comes, it may not necessarily be your establishment. It could be your neighbor upstairs if you're in a multi-level establishment where they have the issue, and then now it becomes your problem. So knowing who to call right away to mitigate that initial extraction of the water is important, because the longer you let that water sit, the higher it's going to go up on your drywall, and the higher it goes on your drywall, the harder it is going to be to dry. So, and if you don't dry it thoroughly and the right way, you can't just mop it up. That's not going to solve your problem. Then mold sets in. If you let the mold grow, then you're going to end up having to cut that out of the wall. Then you have to do reconstruction. So it's a rippling effect, literally water reference, rippling effect if you don't take care of it right away. So having that partnership with a restoration company is extremely important to, one, get it done immediately. What we initially do is, once you invite us into your home, which is your store, because we all know as managers, we live there. We go in and we assess and we look for things like, where's your water shut off? Where's your gas shut off? Where's your electric shut off? That's also important that your staff knows where that's at. Orientation and training is really important, so that if something does burst, they know immediately where to go and shut off the water safely. Make sure that's the priority, to make sure they do it safely. So we go in, we figure out, in case we do have to respond, we know, where do we park our vehicles? You know, how long can we stay there? Also during a natural disaster, if it comes to a point, so when we initially shut down for COVID, only certain people can be on the road, right? We had to have letters saying, yes, we work at a restaurant. We're going to go to, we're still working. It's also important to have that for us as First Onsite, with your letterhead saying First Onsite is our restoration partner, and we give them permission and access to come to our property to take care of XYZ. And we can help each restaurant or each owner go ahead and write that letter out. It's just letting the authorities know that we've been given permission prior to help you. So all the other necessary things for hurricane preparedness, of course, is first aid station, fire extinguishers, protective PPE, the gloves, the eye protection. Also, if you haven't already done so, take pictures of all of your equipment, all of your furnitures and your furnishings, anything that can be damaged, when it's in its pristine, ideal condition. That way, when a disaster does happen, you can take the after pictures of, hey, this was the damage that was done, right? That's for insurance purposes, and keep it locked up in a way where, well, it has to be accessible, but off the ground. So if your filing cabinets are on the ground, it's very important that you have them either on like cinder blocks or some sort of platform that's above the ground level. So if the water does come up, it doesn't damage your paperwork. So as far as like how we respond to a natural disaster, which is because everyone is going to be calling us, all of our clients are going to be calling us, right? So we do have a master service agreement that we do with with our larger clients, and even the smaller ones, where if we have the resources, national resources, that we watch and monitor storms. So we kind of know what to expect. And our teams that are in the mainland will get ready and gear up. They're called Go Guys. So they will go, they'll get on a plane with the equipment and the manpower. They'll come here and they will help us out here in Hawaii. That's what First Onsite is all about. They respond to natural disasters all over the country. And so if you are on our master service agreement list and you call, they know that you are a priority, and they will get to you quicker than if you were just a one-off here or one-off there. So it's the relationship and partnership that we want to establish with you folks. We want to see you more than one time. It doesn't even have to be for a disaster, but even going in and inspecting mold, if you have, especially in your walk-ins or along the walls, in the dish rooms where there's always water or moisture present, it's important that you see any type of mold to get that removed. And it could just be a simple wipe down, or if it's really damaged where the drywall is damaged because of that constant water contact, especially in the dish rooms. That's where we find them, and the restrooms as well. It's important to address that and get that taken care of before it becomes a very large project, an expensive project. So it's all about prevention. It's all about maintenance and taking care of things. Um, and then kind of running along into that, what else, how else can you save money to prepare for emergencies is getting for the restaurants, your hoods cleaned, right? You want to make sure that you have a routine hood cleaning. And you also want to make sure that your oil rags are taken care of and disposed of properly in the proper placements, so that they don't spark up and start fires. There have been a couple of incidences where the establishment itself says everything it's supposed to do for prevention, but it's the outside entities that come in and cause the leaking or the water damage or the fires. For example, recently there was a flood in Alamoana Shopping Center, and it was because there was a homeless gentleman that broke into the utility room and literally ripped out the HVAC piping. So it flooded a restaurant, it flooded the Department of Motor Vehicles, and it also flooded the corridor for the shopping center. So there was multiple people affected by an outside entity. That's considered an emergency. So that restaurant manager, he had no idea who to call. Fortunately, I was responding to the DMV next door, and I said, "Hey, are you okay?" And he's like, "I don't think so." So I went in there, my team, we assessed it and we helped him out. So what happens is, we go in there and we extract the water, and we also sanitize and clean it so that, it's clean. But the next step, and install dehumidifiers to make sure that everything is dried out. He wanted to like open that day. The reality of it was the water was sitting there for a while. And the reality is he most likely has to cut some of the walls out and properly take care of that problem so he doesn't get mold, especially in the restaurant industry. Yeah, health concerns, yes. So that's one incident about flooding. Another one was a fire, which happened in Kapahulu, and there was an outside shopping cart of a homeless person that caught on fire, and that fire ended up going into the establishment. So it's not a matter, again, of if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. We want to try and avoid and prevent and prepare as much as possible, but having a good plan in place is the key to saving money, saving time. The sooner you get it fixed, the sooner you address your problems, the sooner you can reopen, not only for your revenue, but for your employees, right? You want to make sure that your employees are working. So along the lines with hurricane preparedness, establishing and assessing how quickly can I reopen if, the heavy rains flood my unit or flood my store after first Onsite is all done. Well, you have to make sure that your employees and their families are safe, right? You need workers. So you have to make sure that they're able to come in as well. So not only is it, it's the human aspect that you have to consider as a whole. So I know today we could talk totally about like, hey, what first on-site services we have, but we also, as a restaurant manager, previous restaurant manager, there's a lot of different elements that go into, hey, can we open, right? Safety is the first priority. Making sure it's safe for your customers to come back in. There's nothing dangling or damaged that they can step on or slide into. That's very important, but also the safety and health of your employees as well. So we also do provide COVID decontamination. So yes, if you do have an employee that comes in, is tested positive, it's a chain reaction. It's, most likely the rest of the staff has some sort of contact with that. So we do provide COVID decontamination services as well. So, our website has everything on there, but it's just things that you normally wouldn't consider happening that could happen. Fire, you have the fire department comes in, they give us the all clear. It's well, what do we do with all the water that they just shot into my restaurant? How do we get that cleaned up? Well, you call first on site. And once we get the okay for the fire department, we'll go and extract the water, and then we do assessment and, clean it all up. We put our air scrubbers in there to clean the air out so you don't have that smoke smell. And then even your toilets, call a plumber for the actual toilet. But as far as cleaning it up, that's the category 3. No one likes to deal with that. Nobody. But we will. We'll take care of it for you. No problem. Just give us a call. Yeah, and then also, yeah, and the smell of that too. So the sanitation of it, again, broken sprinkler heads, infrastructure on a lot of our restaurants is quite old, and sprinklers, the infrastructure does sometimes rust out, and all of a sudden will just start bursting for no reason at all. So that's when you would give, again, find out where that water shutoff is, and then call us for extraction. And then asbestos. So, we do asbestos abatement, and a lot of times you won't find it unless there is a previous problem happening. Say, for example, your sprinklers don't go off or you get a leak from the roof and you have to remove your ceiling tiles. Well, once you remove your ceiling tiles, that's when you get into the dirt and you're like, oh my gosh, I did not know that was there. And a lot of times the asbestos is in the insulation that's around the piping that could be affected. Or if you're having to, cut into walls, the asbestos is in the mud or the spackle that's in there. So we do have third-party testers that go in, and our environmentalists that go in and test everything to make sure that our workers are safe, and of course that you guys are safe as well. Because if you're gonna fix it right, and that way you don't have a future problem with that. So that's where the asbestos abatement comes in. But we also do lead remediation. So if you have an old building and you notice that the paint is flaking off, we can take care of the smaller flaking areas, test that to make sure, if it is safe or not, or if it has lead in it, and then we can take care of that problem as well. I know I've gone and on. Do you have any other questions for me, Cheryl?
Well, I was gonna have Rachel kind of cover
Yes.
other services. Rachel, I think it's more apparent that the importance of keeping our establishments, especially restaurants, clean post-COVID. During COVID, everybody's super sensitive to, 6-foot distancing and wearing masks. Now, I think our customers and our patrons are more sensitive. So we talked about mold, and if a customer does see mold, let's say it's in the bathroom, or let's say it's in the hall leading to the bathroom, I feel that our patrons and customers are more sensitive to those things. So they may not say something to the restaurateur or the general manager, but they'll definitely probably not come back, and they probably will tell all their friends and families. So what would you say to something like that, where, a restaurant does have signs of mold or signs of things that maybe is not the best presentation for our public?
You're on mute.
I am
Okay.
definitely, yeah, I'm definitely a preacher of see something, do something, see something, say something. So my thing was, even if it is you're open and you do visually see it, maybe employee, general manager, or whatnot, or shift manager, you see something, you do something, you say something, and of course, plan of attack, right? So you want to kind of go to the management team if you're an employee and mention, the concern there. Some people are highly sensitive, where others are not sensitive to seeing visual mold. But then again, you want to side on the area of caution, and of course bring that up to the management and have that addressed. And in that matter of fact, then we would definitely be called out, and we would come out and do a site assessment. And mold is kind of one of those things where it can be a can of worms. So if you do inspect it and you see it, and mitigate it, sometimes the mitigation might not just be a 1-foot by 2-foot cutout. It might be something that spans out a little bit further. So it's kind of being educated and cognizant of the job might span a little bit further than just that square footage or area in the bathroom, if that's where it has been seen. And then also, if there's mold, then obviously there's a sign of a leak somewhere, and something that may not have been addressed. So it might be a matter of investigating. So opening it up and seeing exactly where the source is coming from. It may be some condensating from pipeline. It might be a sprinkler leak. It might be chill water line, of the building. So it just depends where, that leak might occur from. But if there's mold, it's been occurring for a duration and a period of time, and that's kind of what mold feeds off of. Just kind of that, dryness of the drywall and dry material with dust and skin particles and cells and water. That's all it needs. So if you don't address it, the water leak, then of course there's going to be mold for sure. But see something, do something, say something.
Very good. I like that a lot. So let's see, Rachel, is there anything that Cheryl missed that we want to touch on? We've got like another, 8 minutes, and I just want to be sure, Rachel, you've, been able to share all of the services that First Onsite provides.
Yeah, so Cheryl pretty much touched up on the full spectrum. So a lot of what we've been doing, of course, because we live in Hawaii and we actually haven't had any hurricanes or anything disastrous recently to that magnitude. A lot of it is, meeting with our clients and preaching and kind of reminding them that preparedness ahead of time is important. Having a plan, within your own household and within your own work family is important. And for our sake in our internal company, because we are preparing or we work with people and properties, we also have an internal family plan within our organization that we follow. So it's definitely kind of, preaching that and kind of explaining and letting the different client base know that this is what we do, this is what you should be doing, and covering basis as well. But the full spectrum, I mean, the bread and butter of the work, the restoration side, the water damage, the flooding, the fires, the smoke and mold and all that, that's kind of pretty much the wheelhouse. And in addition to that, with the COVID cleaning and the disinfectant cleaning, the biohazard and the trauma, I mean, that kind of comes along with the unexpectedness that comes at the different properties, depending on whether they're retail or hospitality and healthcare or commercial properties. I mean, you kind of see it across the board. And then of course it's sticking to industry standards as well. So not only our own internal standards that we have as a company and what we represent, but it's also sticking to the integrity of what the industry standard is too.
Yeah. I also wanted to add, Cheryl, thank you, Rachel. I also wanted to add that we do have the capabilities to do the reconstruction of any kind of demo or if we have to remove an area, we have the capabilities. We have a construction team that is very good at their jobs. So even if there's projects that the restaurants are looking at doing or the retails are doing, that's kind of like the side jobs of our industry. So we have all the emergency services, but we are general contractors as well. So there are opportunities to do some renovation works for the retailers or the restaurant services. That's just something that's kind of on the side, and to know that we do our own work, and we do call in subcontractors for larger jobs. But primarily, first on site is that we want to be first on site to any of your situations or challenges. And we want to work as a partner, not just as a contractor, not just as a vendor, but we do lunch and learns. We can, sit in on a staff meeting and educate your staff on what does mold look like, what does mold look like, and how they, as employees and partners in the business, can help keep the business going, keep it healthy, and those types of things. Like take ownership of it. Like it's not just I'm going to clock in and work today, but no, this is because we all know in the restaurant industry, we are at the restaurant probably more than we see our families. That is our family. That's our second family. That's what I always loved about the restaurant business. You get through that rush and you're like, yeah, we did it. Everybody go home, be safe, come back tomorrow, type of thing. So I'm just really fortunate and very appreciative, Cheryl, to be with the Hawaii Restaurant Association. I'm glad my counterpart Rachel was able to join me today. She is the queen of all. I follow her in her footsteps, but she helps me out a lot. And anyone can call us anytime and ask any questions. The most we can say is, yes, we can do that, or you know what, we may not be able to do that, but here's somebody who can. So think of us as a partner, think of us as a part of the family as well, and not just a vendor that's looking to make a buck. Because if you guys are in business, the better our economy is as a whole, and families are working, and families are getting fed, families are going shopping. So very thankful for the economy of the restaurant owners and retail owners. So thank you so much for the time today.
Thank you, Cheryl. And Rachel, do you have any closing statements before I close our show?
I just want to leave with one statement would be it's better to know us and not need us versus need us and not know us. So again, first on-site property restoration. We don't wish on any of the unexpected events, but we're certainly here if you need us. So
Thank you.
thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. And I want to thank First Onsite for being a member of the Hawaii Restaurant Association. And today, again, we're talking about something very important, partnering up with other businesses such as First Onsite, should that emergency, should that disaster, that unfortunate incident happen. You already have their name, you already know who they are, and they're familiar with your location, your operation, and your office structure or your restaurant structure. Again, Hawaii Restaurant Association is the voice of Hawaii's restaurants and food service industry. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at info@hawaiirestaurant.org. Thank you, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you so much for watching ThinkTech Hawaii. If you like what we do, please like us and click the subscribe button on YouTube and the follow button on Vimeo. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and donate to us at thinktechhawaii.com. Mahalo.